Welcome to WTF is Web3, where we untangle the uncertainties of Web3 technologies. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information, giveaways, and ways to stay in touch. You're also going to want to make sure that you're subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and our private group so you don't miss out on exclusive content, freebies, and much more. If this episode seems like it was stripped out of a longer conversation, that's because it was. This is what we call a shallow dip, because it's basically the opposite of a deep dive, where we're going to give you a brief explanation of a concept, a term, or a topic that we just felt you would dig without having to listen to an entire episode. However, if you do want to listen to the entire episode, I invite you to check out the show notes, because that will get you to that longer episode and you can hear everything in context of the original conversation. Now that we've got that explanation out of the way, let's jump into the episode.
So, Casey, do you want to talk a little bit about big picture, like what is Web3? What, like just some of these big terms, like what this stuff is?
Yeah, so Web3, as I understand it, Web 1.0 was something that came about, decades ago, arguably like when the internet first started, and very basic relationships and interactions could be established. Sending emails, putting up a website. Web 2, as I believe it, is where there were more transactions. We saw social media accounts coming out, and it just increased the depth at which you can engage with and through the internet. Now, Web 3 is again going to expand upon that. So if you could imagine, how easy it is right now to set up your own website via Shopify, Amazon, Wix, Squarespace, and all those, and start, really engaging at a deeper level than just a user. You can actually be a merchant or have a business on that. That's more of like a Web 2 kind of, Web 2.0 kind of advent or bring about. Whereas Web 3 now is going to get even more immersive. That's where we are going to see the internet and human beings engaging with not only the Internet of Things, which would be, smart devices, your Amazon, your Alexa devices, Siri, and all that jazz, but then also more immersive stuff where you're going to be having AR and VR. So imagine how there are a lot of businesses maybe in the 90s who couldn't understand why their business would need a website. Like, why would a seamstress need a website? It doesn't make any sense. They couldn't wrap their minds around it. Now it adds a lot of credibility and allows you to find a lot more clients. I think there's going to be that same transition where there's going to be some brands that don't understand why they should participate or have a presence in the metaverse or have augmented reality incorporated with their brand presence or their website, or virtual reality. And along with that is going to be coming cryptocurrency and blockchain specifically, which is really the backbone that cryptocurrency and tokens and utilities and smart contracts and NFTs and all that fun stuff. Just heard a car whiz by.
Yeah, that's over here. So just a side note, I'm in Charlottesville right now. So Casey and I, we're both Florida boys. We met in Palm Beach County. We both have spent most of our adult lives in Palm Beach County. But I'm up in Charlottesville, like I said, finishing up my last semester at law school. And Casey's down in Palm Beach. Where are you, in Boca right now?
I'm in Boca right now. Boca Raton, as people who aren't familiar. If you're from here, it's Boca Raton.
Boca Raton. But so I got the window open. It's
take it from there. What I miss, what I get wrong?
No. So the way I kind of think of like the Web 2, Web 1, Web 3. So Web 1 was like read only. So going back to the internet, this was when you would just go on the internet and just be like a page. You couldn't do anything, like you couldn't really interact with it. It just said something. This is like the early days, but if you're like Casey and my age, where you would go, like some random websites existed, and not a lot of companies had them because it didn't make sense, or they felt the need to just put like one web page out that said Burger King, we sell burgers. Like, all right, cool. And so that's like Web 1. It was very, very unilateral. You were just seeing something. And then Web 2 is when things sort of ramped up, and that's sort of the internet that we've all have known. This is where there was a little bit more interaction. like you could add stuff. So you could blog, you could interact with a website, apps even existed. So you have this internet, but you still had this ownership from some third party. And so really there was like just a handful of companies that own the internet, Google, Facebook, some of these big intermediaries that you had to use in order to interact and use this. It was a huge advancement, like way different than just a website. Like you can set up your own app. You still had to go through Apple. You still had to use some of the existing infrastructure, but you now had a little bit more say. You had a little bit more control, a little more involvement, a lot more opportunity. And this is that era of internet that's existed for basically the last like 2 decades. Web3 now is taking it to this next level where you have even more ownership. You can read, you can write, and you can own it. And this is where the blockchain really unlocked this, because it allows a way for individuals to connect with each other outside of some third-party intermediary controlling the doors to let you in and out of everything. You are able now to work one-on-one with people and create this like network of nodes that overlap, so you can just sort of speak from each other, bouncing around, making a big enough structure that you can reach everyone, instead of having to rely on these like massive nodes of control that these like Google or whoever it was, AOL, to go through to connect to each other. So like that to me is the big advancement that we're seeing right now. You have, instead of one gatekeeper or just a few major gatekeepers across the world, you have these millions of gates around that create this network to connect people. So like that's in a nutshell what Web3 is in my mind.
I feel I was thinking while you're talking, because anything beats paying attention to you, that it's almost loosely analogous to dimensions. Web 1.0 was like a one-dimensional interaction. You know, you go left or right. Web 2.0 would be, you know, adding some more dimension to it. Now I have an account where instead of just going and reading a blog, now I can log into something, or now I can start creating that. And then Web 3 would be like the third dimension in it, and it really aligns with the analogy when you consider the immersive potential of AR and VR and metaverses and things like that. So that, never thought about this before, but Web 4.0, I'm assuming, is going to be the singularity where we now combine, we upload our consciousness, maybe with some Neuralink. So now they become one, and now there's like, we get beyond the 3 dimensions in time, and now we're just this immortal algorithm of our personalities.
Yeah, way to simplify things, Casey, there. Yeah, you really did a good job of just making things easy. Let's just take it to the next talk about...
Change of course off the hip. Let's just go into Web 4.0 stuff. I mean, everyone's already talking about Web 3.0. That's a differentiator. Let's go right to Web 4.0. Just kidding. Flag
in the ground. It's ours!
Yes.
That belongs to us.
Changing the name of the podcast and everything.
We don't have a name yet, so that works out good. Yeah, so that's basically like Web 3.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for this shallow dip. But if you want more information and more conversation, I invite you to check out the episode notes and our channel, because not only can you listen to the entire conversation from which this clip was stripped, but there's also going to be more episodes that do a deeper dive on this specific topic. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to make sure you don't forget to check out the information and the links in the show notes. Some of that stuff is going to get you into freebies and raffles and contests and all sorts of other promotions. But also, we've got a private group dedicated to our listeners and our followers. We would love to see you there, love to see you collaborate, join, and get exclusive content that we are only distributing through these other means. Speaking of distributing through other means, I want to make sure that you're also subscribed to our podcast, our YouTube channel, and again, join that private group so you know everything that we know as soon as we know it.